Michael is an 18-year-old Californian who studies in London. He realised he was gay when he was younger and feels British society is more accepting of his sexuality.
I think in the States, I feel like there's much more of a larger conservative group of people than compared to the UK, at least. Here I feel very open and I don't really feel judged while I'm walking down the street.
Same-sex marriage is arguably more important now than ever before in the US. But why is that? Well, mainly because of a piece of American legislation often referred to as the DOMA, or using its full name, the Defense of Marriage Act. It was signed into US federal law in 1996 by past President Bill Clinton and defines marriage as the legal union only between one man and one woman. Many people struggle to understand the significance of this legislation because there are options for same-sex couples in America, like civil unions or civil partnerships, which apparently act as the legal equivalent for gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender couples. But it's just not that simple. That's because the DOMA rejects any recognition of these alternative unions in the eyes of the law, which means a whole list of consequences many people wouldn't think of. For example, if a man and a woman are married, the couple has automatic rights to financial benefits. They're also entitled to immigration benefits so that both individuals are allowed to live permanently in the same country. And because in this scenario your status is legal, if your lawful husband or wife is sick in hospital, by law you should be treated as family and allowed full access to their health updates and to visit when you want. But in the US, a civil partnership does not cover these rights. Of course, there are always exceptions to this rule, and to date there are 6 states that have regarded the DOMA unconstitutional. And as a result, they have legalized same-sex marriage. These are Connecticut, Iowa, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York and Vermont. But even then, because the DOMA is federal law, these marriages are still not recognized in the other 46 states.
What people feared, if you will, was that if a gay couple is married in Massachusetts, that Texas has to honor that marriage. And so many states started coming out and saying, well, we define marriage this way and we won't honor what Massachusetts says or whatever. Well, then they approached this from a federal point of view, and it came up with the, quote, Defense of Marriage Act, which basically says that when it comes to marriage, specifically marriage of same-gender persons, that states do not have to recognize marriages in other states. Basically what it's done is caused a big mess because you have, couples who are recognized as a married couple in Massachusetts, but when it comes to filing federal income tax, they're not recognized as a married couple.
And that is why marriage is so important to the LGBT community in America and why Barack Obama has recently changed his mind on gay rights. He says if he's re-elected, he's going to repeal the Defense of Marriage Act. Governor Mitt Romney, on the other hand, thinks the same-sex marriage and civil unions should be banned. To him and many other Americans, marriage is an institution with a long religious and academic history, and therefore should not be trifled with.
LGBT rights in Britain have improved significantly in the last decade or more. But in the US, advances toward equality have been much slower, especially regarding same-sex marriage. This is mainly because of the influence that religion has had on US politics. Mitt Romney himself is a Mormon and strongly opposes the rights of gay couples to get married.
We believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. That's the fundamental of that. Tampering with that is tampering with God's laws. There's so many scriptural evidences that state the fact that that is what marriage is all about. It's the union of a husband and wife. It's a marriage whereby they make commitments to each other.
I think sexuality has been a topic for quite some time, and I think that nor Obama or Mitt Romney have really started or maybe they've rekindled the fire, but they haven't started anything big up that hasn't been there already. I think that there's a very fine line between where the government doesn't have the right to interfere anymore into the personal lives of people, because and maybe people feel like that's being crossed. That line has been crossed a bit too much. With CCTV everywhere, and maybe they just think that gay marriage is a step too far. That they think that no, you cannot touch the sacredness of something that I feel is important.
Michael believes that sexuality today is almost like the segregation in the 1950s, and he's not alone.
I worry about the future of our city. Any accurate reading of the Bible should make it clear that gay rights goes against the plain truth of the Word of God. As one preacher warns, man, in overstepping the boundary lines God has drawn by making special rights for gays and lesbians, has taken another step in the direction of inviting the judgment of God upon our land. This step of gay rights is but another stepping stone toward the immorality and lawlessness that will be characteristic of the last days. I'm sorry, I've brought the wrong notes with me this evening. I've borrowed my argument from the wrong century. It turns out what I've been reading to you this whole time are direct quotes from white preachers from the 1950s and the 1960s, all in support of racial segregation. All I have done is simply take out the phrase racial integration and substituted it with the phrase gay rights.
Many young Americans agree.
Marriage, yes, I understand it's like a religious sanctity, but also it's not even that. It's like this means like taxes and buying homes together, raising children together, being your children, even if that means adoption. It's like, why make it so hard for people just to be who they are? And like, they're in love, they're cool, you know, let them get married. That kind of thing is just, it's just ridiculous. We're people.
I think it should be allowed, honestly. I mean, it surprises me. I think it's a similar situation as in the 50s we had racial discrimination. You know, before that there was women's suffrage. You know, it's that again, and it surprises me that people just can't get past it. It simply is. It's a way of life, and for some reason people just can't get over it.
Michael and his friends are also optimistic about the future and have a clear idea of what marriage means to them.
I don't see why not just give it the same name. What's the difference between marriage and a unionship? I mean, if people are going to be together, let them to be together. You know, don't give it two different names and say, oh no, it's fine. They're not married. They're not in a marriage or whatever, but they're together. It doesn't make really sense to me. You should just. Everything should be equal. You know, it should be equal across the board, no matter what race, creed, color, gender. It shouldn't affect it.
This is Alice Simons-Denville reporting for BU News Lab.